Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today on day two of our reset, day two of the consistent creative reset. This is bothering me. I don't want this in the way today. I am just still adjusting things. You always see people like me who cannot seem to leave well enough alone. And I start messing with things just when things go live, which is not the time to go messing with things, but it's one of those ADD moments, I guess, where I just get distracted by anything that's in my way. Let me first say thank you for being a part of our reset. If you're watching this on a replay, if you are watching this later on in the day, it's 8:15 Eastern as I'm coming to you. My name is Alan C. Paul. I'm a musician, creative coach, and author, and I am the founder and host of the God and Gigs show and the God and Gigs platform. We're here to help you to build a better creative life from the inside out. That's what this platform is for. If you're watching me on YouTube or on Facebook in our group or in our page, you got up bright and early and you said, you know what, let me turn this on and find out what this guy's talking about. You've joined us during our reset, which is a 3-day workshop to help you build the habits and reconnect with the things that you said you were going to do at the beginning of the year. And maybe because of all the craziness with the lockdowns or the pandemic or whatever happened, you got disconnected with your goals. And now you want to refocus and make the second half of the year the best part of the year possible. We've reached June 2nd. It's, right at that time where everybody's saying, wait a minute, where did half of the year go? What happened? And here in Florida, it's hurricane season. That's how we know. My birthday was actually yesterday, so my birthday actually coincides with the beginning of hurricane season in the Southeast. And, not exactly the most fun thing to connect with your birthday, but it's definitely a time where everybody turns around and says, wait a minute, there are some things that we didn't expect that now we have to get ready for. And that's kind of what I see the second half of the year being. It's something where at one point we were kind of just trying to make it through 2020 and then survive the change over into 2021 and get used to this new normal. And then all of a sudden now we're seeing lockdowns ending. We're seeing viruses numbers going down prayerfully, and we're seeing people getting vaccinated and things like that. And things are opening up, and gigs are opening up, concerts are opening up, live events are opening back up. And it's like, wait a minute, was I even prepared to step back into these dreams and goals that I set at the beginning of the year? Maybe you didn't even set that many goals at the beginning of the year because you didn't believe that any of this stuff was possible and you didn't want to take any chances with even setting any goals. Well, guess what? If you don't set any goals and you don't really think as a creative that you can step forward with your life and your dreams and your goals, and you don't step forward, well, guess what? Nothing's going to happen, and you're going to kind of aim at nothing and hit it. And we don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. And that's why we're doing this reset. So let me quickly reset for you what we talked about in day one. In day one, if you missed it, we talked about your emotional connection with your goals, reaffirming your why. And to me, my why and your why as a creative is not just to accomplish things, it's to be or feel a certain way about yourself. And once you're connected with your emotional core, with your emotional why, with the reason why you pick the goals you pick, the reason why you want to write, create, draw, sing, act, perform, produce, the reason behind those things is not just to have a plaque on the wall or to have a name that has, a million credits next to it. It's because there's something you want to feel or something you want to be in the inside that then motivates you to act consistently toward that action or that goal on the outside. And so there could be joy, peace. It could be, I want to feel secure. I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel committed. I want to be, loving and trustworthy to my family who counts on me to take care of them. All those things are intrinsic feelings. And I'm not a psychologist or a therapist, but these things are so important to understand and to recognize that your goals and your dreams have an emotional backing that has to be motivating you if you want to be consistent. And as I mentioned, the consistent creative reset kind of comes from the consistent creative challenge, which I also posted at the beginning of the year, and we did it in January. Some of you took that challenge. So what I'm telling you right now is if you have not reconnected with your emotional connection to those goals or know why you picked them, and now you found yourself 6 months later kind of feeling like, wait, why did I even pick these goals? Well, then you've lost a connection. You don't realize your why was, faltering, that your why wasn't strong enough to motivate you to continue those actions. Or maybe you just need to go back and look at that why and then recommit to those goals, because those goals are just a vehicle to get you to your desired emotional goal, your emotional state that you're looking for. So that's what day one was for. I gave a little exercise. Those of you who joined in on day one, you got that mail to you or you saw it in the Facebook group. Okay. So that's day one. And I want to just kind of like make sure I don't go too much over that, because you can always go back to day one if you're in the creative group and you can look at the summary, or if you got your email because you're a participant and you've decided to participate. By the way, those of you who might be watching this later and you didn't sign up, it's only a 3-day workshop, so it's not really much time, but there is one more day to this reset. And if you want to go ahead and get the summary of these 3 lessons, then you have to join us at godandgigs.com/reset. That's the only way I can email you the summary of the 3 lessons, where you'll keep access to these 3 videos. I'll take these down after the challenge and after the reset is over. So you're not going to see this if you're watching this after Thursday. The only reason you're going to be able to see this is because you're actually registered. Okay. So go to godandgigs.com/register. Let me post that up real quick. See if I can find it. Not register, reset. Wrong word. There we go. So go ahead there. Okay. Am I pointing the right place? There we go. Yeah. Go there. All right. So godandgigs.com/reset. Go ahead and go there. And that way, once you go there, you can get the summary of these lessons. And I can also keep you abreast of other things that we'll be sharing that help you become more productive. Okay. All right. That's enough announcements. Let's go to day 2. All right. Let's go to day 2. Today, we're going to talk about time. Okay. Today is about time. And because it's only a 3-day workshop, I have to get really quickly into the nitty gritty of what keeps you consistent. And if you want to be a consistent creative doing what you're blessed to do, then the first thing we got to do is realize that there's only 160 hours in a week, 24 hours in a day. And the whole point of you doing these actions is that they need to take place in that 168 hours. It may sound like I'm being very, simple about this and basic, but Benjamin Franklin said it best. Time is the stuff that life is made of. So there's no way I can talk about being consistent, and there's no way I can be honest with you about the fact that if you set goals and dreams and aspirations as a creator, but you have not got a handle on when you're going to take those actions and when you're going to take those opportunities and when you're going to do consistent work, well, you can't be consistent, because time is what actually is the stuff where you actually walk this out, is how you walk out what you do, when you do it, and those habits build your life, they build your character, and they build your success. I've been reading a book all about time, and actually it's something I might recommend to some of you guys. It's called the 12-week year. And I got this as a recommendation from another program. And the whole point of this is really, it's kind of, when I start to explain it, it may sound strange, but it basically says get rid of your annual plans, get rid of your thinking of 365 days in a year. Instead, they want me to think more of 12 weeks being a year. And you might say, why? Well, if you shrink down the time and you shrink down your goal, you shrink down everything to where every day is so much more meaningful because you don't have as much time as you think you do. Well, now you start to get a little bit more momentum and more motivation to use your time wisely. And so the whole point of the 12-week year is, if I can kind of summarize it, is that instead of 12 months in a year, we go to 12 weeks, and every week is like a month. So you can imagine that means in this week, for me, this is like January, but the next week is February, and the week after that is March, and the week after that, and can you see, like, all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, you're trying to shrink your activities into a tiny piece of time. Well, yeah, here's the reason why it works and why I believe it's going to be a great thing for me, is that it forces me to say, I don't have as much time as I think I do. I can get more done in less time if I treat every day with the ultimate amount of respect and super, super, super focused on being intentional about how I use my time. And that's what I want to challenge you to do as a creative today is to be honest about whether or not you're using the time wisely to consistently do the things that you say you want to do. Like I said, this is a reset, so I can't spend a lot of time kind of, pretending that this isn't the key. This is the key. Day two really is kind of like the key to the whole thing. If you have not gotten serious about your time, you are not yet really going to be consistent, and that means your goals are that much farther ahead of you. Your goals and your dreams and your aspirations for this year count on you putting those things in practice and making time, whether it's daily, weekly, whatever it is. You got to be in control of it, and you got to say, this is when this is going to happen. You cannot leave it up to happenstance. You can't say, I'm just going to do when I feel like it. Those types of things just do not add up to people who are predictably successful. The predictability of your success is based on your ability to manage and act on your commitment to time. So here's what we're going to do for today's exercise. It's very simple, but it's also one of these things that if you don't do it and don't follow through, well, you're kind of missing the boat on how productive and how consistent you can be with your life, which means later you're not going to have those things that you say you want, and you're not going to achieve those emotional goals and dreams and feel that sense of purpose that you want to feel at the end of either the year, or for me, the 12 weeks, or anything like that. So here's what I'm going to advise for you and tell you that we're doing today for our challenge and our reset. Today's challenge is a time audit. And you say, audit, just the name audit sounds like something that takes a lot of time. Well, today it is going to be something where you're going to have to set aside some time to think about your time. That's the challenge. Are you going to take the 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever time that is during this reset to really look at how you are spending your time? Now, here's the thing about a time audit. It really is all encompassing. In other words, you're going to take all 168 hours of a week, an average week. We won't say you have to pick out, your actual time. Your actual time audit could be where you go back over your calendar and you actually pick up what you did on every week of the year, but that might be way too much for one day. So we're going to take an average week. Take your busiest week, a week that you most likely would have done the same things you do during your normal routine. Then you go back and you say, okay, how many of those hours were sleeping? How many of those hours were eating? How many of those hours were working? How many of those hours were spent every single waking moment of the day and sleeping moment of the day? You're going to go back and you're going to think about that. Okay, when did I do what? And how much time did I actually spend on that thing? Now, here's a sobering part for most of us. You're going to look at that list and you're going to see 8 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours of sleeping. Okay, so you're down from 168 now, times what? 7, so 7 days in a week. So that's going to be 64 hours. It's going to be 56 hours. It's going to be, a good portion of that time that was spent sleeping, hopefully. Okay, if you're not a night owl like me, then where you stay up too much. So then you're going to see, of course, eating, maybe, 3 hours a day, an hour lunch, an hour breakfast, an hour, whatever. But you're going to start to see that time tick away when you take away the things, the necessities of life, time spent with your family, time spent at work. And then you're probably going to get down to, okay, how much time did I actually spend doing the thing that I say I wanted to do? And what I'm guessing, this is what I'm guessing, okay? I'm guessing you're going to get to that point and you're going to be really mad at yourself because you're going to say, I am not spending any time, any major amount of time doing what I believe and what I said I was going to do. That's what I'm guessing, that you're going to take a look at this time audit and you're going to kick yourself a little because you're going to say, okay, I had these dreams and goals at the beginning of the year. And then I had these aspirations that go along with it. But when I actually look at my application, I'm not spending the time doing what I said was the most important thing. And that happens to all of us. I can look at my music. I can look at my writing. I'm not spending nearly as much time writing in my writing habit. As I said, well, that wasn't necessarily one of my goals. It's one of the things I need to do more often. And even time with my family is a goal. that I know if I look back and I say, oh my gosh, I'm not spending the percentage of time, only this much of my week is actually going toward that. And what's most likely happening, I have my calendar right over here. And if I'm not spending time, let me go ahead and grab it real quick. Yeah, I have my little passion planner. So if I'm not spending time doing, putting in my planner here, and there's a lot of empty spaces here, but there's a page that looks like it's got a little stuff, something in it. And if I can look at this and I say, I haven't, put forward the actual time I need to take to do these things, if I haven't done that, well, I mean, of course I'm not reaching my goals because there's no evidence here. There's no evidence day to day that I am putting forth the effort and the time it's going to require. You've heard that maybe that book by Malcolm Gladwell, the famous 10,000 hours rule that comes from his book Outliers. Well, if you're not even getting down to that 1 hour a week, then your goal is farther and farther away. And then maybe you are spending a lot of time, but maybe there's like a 30-minute window that you can squeeze out and you can add to that. And that's basically what I'm saying to you today is be ruthless. Okay. Oh, I love this quote. It says, be gentle with people, be ruthless with time. And I can't remember where I saw it at a convention one day or a workshop for one of our professional development things. But I love that quote. And it means that you got to be even more cutthroat with time than way more cutthroat with time than you ever are with people. We don't want to cut people off like that. But we do want to cut our excuses about time because there's nothing that will get it back. There's no resource that is more non-renewable than time. And I don't want you to beat yourself up about this either. If you have not been spending time doing the thing that you say you want to do, here's where you can like find that immediate reset of energy and motivation is by saying, okay, maybe I can only increase that by 1%. But if you increase that number by 1% every day and every week, you now are totally incrementally, but totally increasing the total amount of time and focus you're spending on your goal. And you're going to see whether that's practice, whether that's writing, whether that's working toward a goal, whether it's phone calls, whether it's promotion, whether it's focused, strategy, spending time on deep work. They call that deep work when you sit down and like really, really focus on something for 3 hours at a time or 2 hours at a time or 4 hours at a time. And you don't let anything distract you. And you take the time to write it down. And you check yourself and you measure yourself and you get on yourself when you don't. And you have it, by the way, this is really what the accountability of our creative community is all about. You have people in this group. Hopefully you connected with. Hopefully people that are taking this reset with you, you can reach out and say, hey, I saw your comment. Will you check on me and see if I followed through with this time audit? Because if I didn't do the time audit and I just kind of skirt through this, I don't want to be in this place 6 months from now in this reset and I didn't really follow through with what I said I was going to do. Would you please check me? That's the kind of accountability and the kind of motivation you need to really follow through with these goals and make sure that you're not going to be looking at the emotional baggage you're going to have at the end of the year because you said, oh, I never took this seriously. I never took the actions that's going to is required for me to make that step, to make that adjustment. So I'm imploring you to, number one, get some accountability partners today. Somebody in the reset, somebody that's in the comments of today's lessons, or someone that's in the creative community. If you're watching this right now in our Facebook group, just reach out to someone and just say, hey, by tomorrow, I want to say I've done this. And if you can't finish it by tomorrow because the time just won't allow, then let's say by Thursday at the end of the reset, okay? But don't put it off. You've got to be honest with yourself and the time that you're spending doing all the things. By the way, and this is the big thing about distractions. Distractions can get to all of us. There's one of the lessons in the challenge that I talk about distractions. If the distractions are getting to you, I suggest that you build in a buffer. Build in okay, yes, I'm going to be distracted. Yes, I'm going to need 10 minutes of phone time. But build it in. Write that part in. Write in the time that you're going to veg out. Write in the times you need, 20 minutes to just do nothing. Write it in. Write that part in your schedule too. But don't let the time audit go without you being serious about, okay, if I say I want to do these things, something has to happen every day, every week, consistently, regularly, repeatedly, that brings me closer to this goal. And it has to be part of my daily or my weekly routine. And it has to be written down, and someone has to hold me accountable to it. Sounds simple, not simple to implement, or at least simple to implement, not easy to follow up with and to stick with. And that's why this is a consistent creative reset. Consistency is the goal. And that's a never ending process. That's a never ending process of continually working on those things that make us better over time. And those things require us to be a little bit more insistent about our time, about our commitment, about our goals. And I love this quote by I can't say his name, G.K. Chesterton. He said that God is consistent, and I can't quote the entire quote exactly as it is, but he talks about how God wakes up every morning and makes the not makes the sun, but gets the sun shining. The sun is consistent. God created the light. Every morning it shows up. Every morning, you know, the sun changes from from night. Sun changes. That sounds so weird. The sun comes up, sunrise comes up, and God never gets tired of making sure that happens right on time. He never says, today, no, let's not do day today. Let's not do morning. Let's not do tides today. I'm tired. However you want to create, it's obviously a picture of creation that I'm trying to paint here. And I just want you to see that kind of poetic way that God is never inconsistent. God is never inconsistent with us. He's never inconsistent. He always shows up, even when we don't realize he's showing up, because we just see how life continues, and he's always in control of that. And G.K. Chesterton says, maybe God just never gets tired of being young. And just like a kid says, do it again, do it again, do it again. When you have a child and they just keep asking you to do that same thing over again, that makes them laugh, and you get tired of it because you're tired of them trying to ride on your shoulders and they want to take another ride. The kid loves repetition when it's something that brings him satisfaction and joy, and he will basically run you to death and keep you doing it. And he says that maybe God has never gotten tired of saying, let's do it again. Let's do it again. And that's a beautiful picture, because if God is consistent in creation, God is consistent, and we are creatives who are following after God's image, then we too can be consistent and do things time and time again, even the things that aren't that fun, even things that are boring, seemingly, because they bring us that eventual joy, that bring us that satisfaction and that fulfillment and that purpose, that we know that that's part of what we are, is that we are made in God's image, and we show up and we do things over and over again that eventually create beauty in the world and that other people can enjoy. And that's what this is about. Taking that time, taking that really focused moment to say, how am I spending my 168 hours a week? And then nitty gritty it to where you find out where are your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours of working on your craft and your gift and your goal. You got to find it, you got to pinpoint it, and you got to decide how long is that going to be per day, per week, and then continually find accountability to back that up, okay? All right, well, that was today's lesson. I hope you have gotten a lot out of that. That's day 2 of the reset. Day 3 of the reset is the end of the reset. That's all you get. But it should, as you can see, these are power-packed lessons if you do them. If you don't do them, then yeah, this is just a bunch of platitudes. And it was nice to watch Alan, squirm around for 20 minutes. That's not what I hope you get out of this. What I hope you get out of it is action and commitment and consistency and joy and fulfillment once you follow through with these things, because the goals and the God-given dreams that you've set have a expected end if you follow through. And these are the things that will help you follow through and become a more consistent and a more productive and happier and successful creative artist and freelancer and musician if you follow through with these things. Okay, so check with me. Email me at alanpaul@godandgigs.com. Let me know how it's going for you, or comment in any of these socials that I am posting this to. Remember, if you want to be a part of this, you got to go ahead to go to gottagigs.com/reset. I did it again. There we go. Am I pointing right there? All right. So you got to go to gottagigs.com/reset if you want to get the summary of these 3 lessons. There's one lesson left tomorrow. I'll be going live at 8:15 again, early morning, going live. But once I'm done with that, and once these things are done, I'll go ahead and take this down, and we'll go ahead and move on with something else. I'll always be going live here for other reasons, but the reset will go only to those people who registered. And oh, by the way, I've been mentioning I'll be giving away an Amazon Echo Dot to a registered participant. Okay, I'm just going to do a random call. No, you have to do this. You're not going to make you go through a whole bunch of hoops or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and just give that to somebody. If Amazon is so cool. I don't know if you're a big Amazon person. Maybe you're Google, maybe you're Siri, but it's a great thing to have. To do these reminders. You can tell Amazon, you can tell Echo to do these reminders and do things and read to you and redo your podcast and Amazon Music, all these things through the Amazon Dot. So if you want to win that, you got to register. Okay, I don't want to pretend like I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this, but you got to be a part of that drawing. I'll do a random drawing tomorrow at the end of this session, and we'll see who wins that Amazon Dot. Okay, so that's your time. That's my time. This is your time. It's time to take time seriously, okay? So go ahead and do that. And I never showed my little thing. I like that. Okay, it's about time. There it is. Anyway, so go ahead, register if you haven't registered, work on your time audit, let me know how it goes, and see you on day 3 of the reset, 8:15 Eastern. And let's see how we can finish this up so that you can have the best second half of 2020 possible. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching on replay. If you're watching on replay, put replay in the hashtag in their replay gang so I know you watch this later, and let me know how this exercise went for you, okay? Take care. God bless. See you next time. Well, see you tomorrow, I should say.